It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. That was Tom Petty's Refugee, a song the band Tom Petty and Heartbreakers recorded. They were listening back during the mixing process at the studio, and the woman at the front desk of the studio, like the receptionist answering phones, sending people to the proper room down the hallway, the girl at the front desk heard the song coming down the hallway repeatedly, and she just poked her head in and goes, "Hey, guys, that's a hit, by the way." And Mike Campbell's like, you think? Because they weren't thinking of it in those terms. And she was like, yeah, that's going to be a hit single. Every now and again, you got to get the man on the street's opinion. You know what I mean? Sometimes the guy on the street knows of what he speaks. First things first, Gene Hackman is 94 years old today. Happy birthday to the gentleman's gentleman. One of my favorite actors. I love Gene Hackman in everything I've ever seen him in. Tremendous.
Yeah, he's pretty terrific.
Been retired for a while. I mean, like 20 years or so, almost, really, since he's made a movie. He just lives out in New Mexico, flies his airplanes, paints, chills, does what he can. While making Superman, the first one as Lex Luthor, Christopher Reeve on set famously said, "So what's your motivation for Lex Luthor?" And Gene Hackman said, "You mean beyond the $2 million?"
Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't kidding around. Royal Tenenbaums, one of the last movies he made. Just so good in that.
God, I love that movie so much.
Man, he's so fantastic. He's just great in everything. Norman Dale in Hoosiers. Come on, Gene Hackman. You know, another often overlooked, and then we'll get on to Mike Evans. Get Shorty. He is so funny in that movie as Harry Zim, the film producer. Man, if you haven't seen that. Anyway, happy birthday, Gene Hackman. I don't even know why this is a bizarre tangled web my brain is. I hear that Gene Hackman quote, and then I think about Danny Bonaducci from the Partridge Family, radio man himself for many, many years, who just recently retired. Danny Partridge, played by Danny Bonaducci. He said, "I'm a proud participant in the Spencer Tracy School of Acting. Know your lines and do not bump into the furniture." It's pretty simple. I mean, sometimes it's that simple. You know what I mean?
It is.
It's like, hey, come on. It's like, I like a guy who says, "I'm not an actor, I'm a movie star." What the hell's wrong with you? Speaking of movie stars, speaking of actors, Mike Evans back in the game. He took a sick day yesterday. Mike Evans is back. Let's listen to his Hollywood report.
Hey, good morning, Steve and Zap and Tony and Candace. Sorry I missed yesterday, but let's get right into it. It is Tuesday, and Tuesday is Marcus Theater Day, where you can get any theater you want for just a measly $6. Marcus Theater, the best theater chain in all of Minnesota. Why don't you go see a movie? Why don't you go see a movie today and save yourself some money? All right, so I got a sidebar regarding the Super Bowl. Of course, now we know it's the Chiefs and the 49ers, February 11th in Las Vegas. So Patrick Mahomes' dad never misses his son's game. And he's very close to all the other players' families and hangs out with them a lot. But Patrick Mahomes' dad was not in the box with Kelsey's mom and Taylor Swift and all the other Kansas City Chiefs family on Sunday when they played Baltimore. Was not there. He was in a suite next to it. And the reason is because Patrick Mahomes' dad says he just can't stand all the visitors and yelling and cheering and the chaos that goes on in the Kansas City Chiefs suite during the games.
What?
Says he wants to concentrate on his son and the way he plays, so he usually sits by himself right next to the suite, but never in the suite.
Sure.
Party time. Steve, I'd like to see if you could maybe get me a ticket to this. This is going to be the biggest pre-Super Bowl party ever. It'll be on February 9th, the Friday before the Super Bowl. It's being held at the XS nightclub in the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas. The host is Shaquille O'Neal, and guests will include Snoop Dogg and Jamie Foxx and Will Ferrell and John Legend, Condoleezza Rice, Justin Timberlake, and Mark Wahlberg. Should be the second toughest ticket that weekend in Las Vegas. And Shaquille O'Neal is the host. Again, Steve, could you give me a ticket to that? Tomorrow we got Sofia Vergara, Scoopage. Have a great day, Mike Evans. See ya.
Wow.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
I haven't seen Shaquille O'Neal in a nightclub since the 1994 NBA All-Star Weekend right here in Minneapolis when I came up for the festivities, and I was at a club downtown, and I wish I could remember which one it was, and he gave a rap performance.
Ah.
And Let me tell you something. You think he's big? Wait till you see him in person, and wait till you see him on stage with dancers who were all half his size. It was one of the oddest things I've ever seen in my life. Just the big. I mean, it looked like something out of a Lord of the Rings movie. He was that big. It's like, oh my God, why is he rapping? What's happening? Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Because he wanted to.
By the way, that's not the second hardest ticket in town to get. You can get a Super Bowl ticket. There's 80,000 seats. I think Shaq's party is going to be a tougher ask, just generally speaking. It's not that tough to get a Super Bowl ticket day of game, or so I've been told. I mean, you got to pay for it, but you can find it. That's what I'm saying.
8 to 10K, isn't it?
Something like that. But yeah, you got a whole stadium full of folks who actually don't care. And they're happy to part with their ticket for some cash. Hey, let's look back. Woo, it is January 30th. Speaking of Super Bowls and people not caring, I was attending the Super Bowl on this day in 2000, and I didn't care until the end of the game. This was Super Bowl 34. The Tennessee Titans versus the St. Louis Rams in Atlanta, Georgia. And I don't even remember how I got tickets. See, it just goes to show, if you're a schmuck and you know somebody, you can find a Super Bowl ticket. This was my third Super Bowl of that era that I went to. And all three were just in the stadium, just boring as hell. Because you got 10,000 fans for one team, 10,000 fans for another team, and 60,000 douchebags like me who were like, I got a ticket, cool. But you don't really care. You're just there to be there. But this game started off, the St. Louis Rams, if you remember, got up on the Titans 16-0. It was just a nothing ho-hum game. But then in the fourth quarter, the Titans roared back, tied the game. And on the last drive, Steve McNair, great overlooked quarterback, and this is, by the way, this predates me being a Titans fan, drove downfield, and on the final play of the game, a slant pass to Kevin Dyson, who stretched out and was 1 yard short of the touchdown. And I will say this. At that moment in that stadium, all 70,000 or 80,000 people were standing and just simply screaming at the top of their lungs. It was the most exciting single moment I've ever been a part of in a stadium, because you're like, wait a minute, if they score, this is going to go to overtime, and like a Super Bowl going to overtime. And when Dyson stretched out and he fell, you could, from where we were sitting, from where most people were sitting, you couldn't see if he made it or not. Mm-hmm. And there was that pause before the ref signaled, and we're waiting to see the ref's arms go up. And I've never forgotten, just my ears were ringing from how loud everybody was just screaming. Just like, I can't believe this is happening! It was incredible. And then the Rams won, and, it was like...
Oh, so he didn't make it.
He didn't make it. No.
Game-saving tackle.
Came up a little short. Mm-hmm. Somebody missed a blocking assignment that day, and, oh boy, I'm sure they heard about it later.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, January the 30th. 1 hour from right now, we're going to give away tickets for a chance to win. We're going to give away tickets. Not a chance to win. By God, we're going to help you get tickets to see Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper. They're playing at the XL Energy Center Sunday, August 25th. We're also going to give away some tickets to see the Australian Bee Gees. That's going on in 1 hour from right now, and we're going to play an awesome game in order to give those tickets away. You'll want to be a part of that, I'm quite certain. We like to think of ourselves as being kind of, we're smart guys around here. We're smart gals. We're pretty bright people. The IQ test might not set records, but it's certainly, I'd say, average to above average around here. But let's talk about the other Q. That would be the EQ, the emotional intelligence. It's one of those terms you hear about, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
EQ is all the rage. EQ, a definition is the ability to manage both your own emotions and understand the emotions of people around you. Shut up, Tony. Don't look at me like that.
You're so sensitive.
You're so jealous. Wait, I'm sorry, what?
You're jealous.
The 5 key elements to emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills.
Uh-oh.
So, I was going to say, just hearing this list, if you're starting to sweat on the brow a little bit, you might want to, just take a deep breath. It's okay. We're just going to ride through this. But it's kind of funny. We saw the things that, if you want to gauge, if you want to check your own emotional intelligence, there's a few things, if you hear yourself saying, you might want to stop and curb and really look into this. If you hear other people say the following, you can rest assured they're probably not too high on the EQ scale. And I'm going to present this without judgment, because anytime we can take a look in the mirror, anytime we can all say, hey, maybe I'll work on that, I think it's a good thing. Really.
All right.
Don't know why I'm walking myself into this corner right now. How about this, okay? If you use any of the following phrases, you may have a low emotional IQ. Number 1, I'm not changing. This is who I am.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear yourself say those things?
Well, I mean, I hear myself saying something like that when someone says, Brian, I don't like who you are. You need to change. Basically, that's what they're saying. I mean,
sure.
Listen, on the EQ rating in relationships, I come in very low. I'm a 1 out of whatever the high score is.
Okay.
Over the years, it's just, and these are the things, a relationship you have to be willing to change. I'm like, no, I just have to be willing to leave.
Right.
Because I don't want to change.
That's a change.
I'd like to find somebody who just says, you know what, I dig you for all the shitty qualities you have.
Well, you know what? You cut
know?
the expression off. You don't have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to change your scenery.
Yes, right. There you go.
But no, this is a reference. If you're stuck in your ways and you refuse to evolve,
Okay.
that's what this is more about. It's. But to your point, if someone's just got to decide, if somebody decides their life's goal is to change you, that's not healthy either. That's on that person. But generally speaking, if you hit a point in life where you just stop receiving new information, that's kind of, if you just shut her down, which, by the way, on some levels, we all do. I mean, there's plenty of things where I'm like, I'm not the old man shaking my fist at the clouds, but I feel that occasionally. Just like, I don't care. Shut up. I don't need to know. I'm fine with what I have right now.
Yeah. All right.
But it's one of those things. How about this one? I don't care how you feel.
No, you can't.
That's
not
pretty
cool.
obvious, right?
Harsh.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's one of those things you never say out loud.
Right. Yeah.
Just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
And let them finish talking and then slowly leave the room. Don't turn your back. Just walk along the wall and get out of there. This is another one. And by the way, I again, no names, but I've heard all of these from people basically one way or the other. It's your fault I feel this way.
Ooh, yeah, I've gotten that a lot.
It's your fault that I'm so upset right now.
It's like you brought that on yourself.
There's that
Similar.
one. Yeah, but it's your fault I feel this way. Blaming other people for your feelings, not having ownership of your own mood and feelings day in and day out. That I think that's a really common one. Younger in life, much earlier. And then someone explains it to you like, well, the one thing you can control is your mood and your perspective. And you go, oh, yeah, okay. And then you go, yeah, but I don't want to. I'd rather blame other people. And then eventually you come around to it. That's maybe someone's experience. I don't know.
Yeah.
Another one that always gets me is when someone goes, no, you're just wrong, man. No, you're just wrong. It's like, no, not really, not necessarily. I mean, I come from it from this is usually when you're having a conversation about greatest linebacker ever or greatest bass player ever. Everybody's right. Your opinion is yours. And if that's what you think, that's why music is always so cool, because my favorite band and your favorite band, we're both right. That's the greatest band ever. Really? Okay, well, I'll tell you why I think this is the greatest band ever, and everybody gets to be right.
Yeah, based on this is how I found myself defending Britney Spears one day. And one of my buddies was like, I hate Britney Spears. Music. I'm like, wow, then don't listen to it, man. But listen, she sold a gazillion records, which means a lot of people like her music. So thank goodness Britney Spears came to this planet and seemed to elevate some people's entertainment experience, But luckily we have the Allman Brothers.
Exactly.
So we don't have to listen to Britney Spears. But there's no reason to hate her music. It's just not for you. It's not wrong that she's making music. Yeah.
I think we're all going through this. There's a lot of the whole Taylor Swift thing over the last couple of months with Travis Kelce's the exact same thing. It's, I mean, I remember 2008 or 9 being asked about Taylor Swift, and I was like, she's not making records for me. I don't care. Like, that's fine. That whatever. And the arguing that she's, talentless or whatever, that's a you problem. She's just the biggest pop star on the planet and not going away. And so, but again, you can always just turn it off. In fact, you couldn't find, I don't know where to find her on the radio. You know what I mean? I know where to find rock music on the radio. I don't know where to find Taylor Swift.
I think they play a lot of Taylor Swift
over
there.
Yes.
They're just crushing on the Taylor Swift stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't tuned in a while.
There's always these things you hear people say. I've got a couple that just not so. I don't know if this isn't so much on the emotional cue. This isn't the EQ, but there are things people will say. I'll hear them say, and I immediately. And then I have to catch myself because I have to go, hang on, don't assume too much. But anytime I hear somebody wrap up a conversation with, well, hey, man, that's just how I was raised. That is like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah.
If you're living your life as an adult and you are aligning with the way you were raised and the values of the family you were growing up with, that's fine. But only if you've examined other possible ways of thought and then come back around to, it's weird. I never thought I'd say this, but I agree with my parents on this. That's great.
Yeah.
But the idea that you just blindly, well, that's how I was raised. That makes my head spin. I'm like, I don't know. And thankfully, my parents taught us, like, the day you turn 18, get the hell out of here. Go figure it out for yourself. And I'm really glad they did.
I heard that phrase within this last year from one of my daughters. That's when it's most frustrating.
Ooh, yeah.
They're like, don't blame it on me. Don't. I told you every step of the way that, I'm the negative indicator.
Mm-hmm.
Don't blame the parenting crap on me. You have the internet. The internet's your parent. It knows better. Right here, look, if you use these phrases, you may have low emotional intelligence from CNBC. It's all right there on the internet for you. You don't need your parents anymore. They're outdated.
How about this one when I hear someone say this? Well, hey, he was a man of his time. As a justification for some horrible behavior. And I'm like, well, he's still alive. This is his time. If you're still breathing, and for any issue you look back in history and go, hey, he was a man of his time. Well, there was another man at that same time who was doing the exact opposite. Always.
He didn't do that.
You focus on the one thing, but it's like, well, I mean, take any issue, take any stance. Like, well, no, there were plenty of people. Not like everybody agreed. There's just more at a certain time than others, but that's just one of those things. It's easier to say, he's a man of his time.
Besides, we love to hate people for what they were back in the day. Don't take that away from us. It's fun to sit here and judge people that are dead.
Well, see, no, I like the nuance. You can absolutely say that things were different. You have to couch things with what was going on, but don't think it's a binary. It's all or nothing. I'm saying you can admire. Nobody's one thing or the other. We're all just gray, baby. We're all a collage. But I can't stand that it's just this immediate excuse of, he was a man of his time.
That's similar to a phrase that absolutely rubs me the wrong way every time I hear it. You bring up something and someone will say, no, that was before my time. It doesn't matter. Knowledge is knowledge. You can still be aware.
Yeah, it might help, actually, to know some things that are new.
I hate that.
Let's see. There's hey, look, man, I'm just brutally honest when someone's just a douchebag at all times.
That's my line.
Yeah.
Just being brutally honest. I'm just a douchebag, but I dig it. It makes me laugh.
Let's take a quick EQ test, okay? Answer amongst yourselves. Between like 1 to 5, inaccurate, neutral, accurate. I am very good at identifying the emotions I am feeling. Work in progress for me. I'll come right out and say it. My life was spent not acknowledging the feelings I'm feeling, but simply trying to find a solution to everyone else's problems. That, my friends, is known as codependency.
Yeah.
Right here, poster child growing up.
I like to think I'm pretty self-aware, but then that's where it ends. People are like, well, you're self-aware. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm an asshole. but I'm not going to. That's my comfort zone. That's where I like to be. There's something about me that likes to upset people. That's what gets. That's what entertains me. Upsetting people, getting a rise out of someone. So I think you can be self-aware of your emotions.
Sure.
But not want to change them.
Nothing wrong with authenticity, and that's an important part of emotional intelligence. I mean, remaining authentic. Candace, you're pretty aware of your own emotions as you feel them. Yes.
Oh yeah, I let them all out.
Okay, but
not in public.
Let
Well,
it rip.
sometimes it happens.
well, sometimes we can let emotions out that we're unaware of too. You know,
Right.
you just look back and go,
What are you trying to
"Whoa,
say, Steve?"
Who was that person wearing my clothes yesterday? That was weird. How about this one? I sometimes find it hard to figure out how people around me are feeling, other people's feelings.
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm always trying to figure that out.
Yeah. I feel pretty. I could be a little too aware. Again, let's go right back to the codependency playbook. A little too aware of other people's feelings to the point where I'm thinking about that more than my own.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying I'm doing this right now, but it's a work in progress as per usual. Yeah, interesting. How about this? I have control over my emotions. Oh God, way too much. Just put a lid on it. Cut the damn grass and cry later.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with that one. I feel like I'm kind of a slave to my emotions. You know, I let them. I go in with a plan that this is what I'm gonna. But then, I'm a hothead. So then the emotion takes over. Some emotion creeps in, and I end up responding in a way that I really didn't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that sounds like a dude.
how about this? I constantly feel grateful for the life I have. Oh, stop. Come on. If you're walking around just feeling grateful for everything, you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah, I mean, I could be more grateful.
I'm not like some old school, you got to work to have pride. But I mean, I'm not some knucklehead about it. But at the same time, no, I'm all for gratitude's wonderful. But at the same time, sometimes, by God, you just got to roll up your sleeves and just do something new and bitch about how it's not happening fast enough. Or, I mean, I need that incentive all the time. I'm constantly like, wait, got to make this better. Let's go. It's interesting. Tony, you're deep in thought over there.
I'm thinking, that's a great equalizer because you can always go, well, it could be worse. And that seems to make it easier to handle situations.
I think that's a very, again, if you don't use that as just a crutch, but if you actually can, identify like, hang on, I've been through worse or this, we got lucky on that one. I think I'm good about that. I definitely notice luck. Both like, opportunity meets preparedness, luck in the grand scheme, but then also just, like literally when you almost have a car accident, I'll think about it for a week. Oh man, I got no complaints. That was so close.
Right.
Like I take a lot of those, like really close to misfortune, but not. So it doesn't have to be something great. It just isn't horrible. I'll take advantage of that, and that'll fuel me. That'll put some wind in my sails, man. But then again, you can creep into that. I wrote in a book that I wrote that a good day was just one that didn't suck, and that's a trap you can fall into as well. So it's just constant adjustment. I think basically what we're trying to say is be self-aware as much as possible and keep it to yourself. Shut up. We're trying to do radio over here.
Kind to animals.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what? Be kind to animals. That's a good place to start.
Spay and neuter your pets.
Yep. Okay, Drew Carey.
All right, well, we got to get back with Showcase Showdown.
Bob Barker.
Showcase Showdown's coming up soon.
Right there.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah,
You didn't know Bob Barker started that? Drew Carey's just a ripoff. He's
you
cheap
stole
fake.
Hey!
Yeah.
Wait,
love
you
Drew
did.
Carey.
You did
You got
not
the Drew
think that.
Carey right here.
You thought that started with Drew Carey?
Yeah, I'm literally 32.
Well, it's before your time.
Oh, that's right. Candace is such a woman of her time.
Isn't she, though?
I guess that makes sense, but I still love Drew Carey.
Okay, that's fine. Fair enough. Do what you got to do, Candace. We're just here to serve your needs.
She's
Thank
self-aware
God,
about
I'm
that.
so grateful for my life.
See, there it is. There's the gratitude we're looking for. We've done it. We have completely confirmed that you, Candace, are emotionally intelligent.
All right. We got to keep this morning moving. Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper together on stage. been out before. Why does this seem like the most natural pairing on stage at a rock venue in my life? We've got those tickets to give away here at 8 o'clock with a game show. Coming up, there's the first Neuralink has been put in the brain to connect us to our phones. We're going to make our brains. I told you, this thing we're carrying around, this phone, it's only a matter of months, not years, when we can get rid of that bad boy. It's all going to be right there in your head. Take your Neuralink and be happy. We're going to talk about that and some Wisconsin Goodwill finds a hand grenade in the donation box. This happens like once a year. Have we cleared out the old World War II boxes up in the attic yet? That's coming at 7:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good news for everybody who just doesn't have the energy to use their smartphone. Neuralink, the new brain science startup company that Elon Musk is behind. Apparently, according to Elon Musk, he has implanted a device in a human for the first time, which is a possible step towards a product that would allow people to control almost any external device, your iPad, your iPhone, your laptop. You can control it just by thinking.
Your robot lover? Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah,
Bring it.
Your robot lover.
Well,
hey, what are you doing? Curing cancer? No, I'm not. But let me explain just the difference between loose hamstrings with my robot lover. Elon Musk made the announcement on Twitter, or as he calls it, X, which I will never call it that. That's the silliest thing in the world still to this day. It's almost as silly as calling HBO Max, but I digress. So he said the patient, who has not been identified yet, is recovering. They received an implant, and the initial results showed, quote, promising neuron spike detection. Okay, this is the same guy who said he was going to build a high-speed tunnel from L.A. to San Francisco, and then 10 years later went, no, I'm not doing that, after doing literally nothing in the 10 years.
Well, every once in a while, though, he's got that SpaceX thing going.
That works.
He loves the X, man. Every once in a while, he gets one cooking. I do not like the fact that, a South African cokehead is in charge of this. However, I do like the science behind it. They did bust his company for using an improper sealant on the monkeys' heads to seal the holes. So we've got a ways to go here. But I like the idea of just, controlling things with my mind. Constantly looking for my phone. It's a burden. It's bothersome. I want things that I don't want to, I want to go skiing without ever leaving the couch.
Now hold on. If you're losing your phone and this is going to help, does this mean we're going to all have like Obi-Wan Kenobi force? Like you can just think and your phone will release itself from under the bed and fly to your hand? That'd be pretty cool.
Dude, the phone is gone. Get rid of the phone. The Neuralink is the one big step towards you're going to be connected to the web. Your brain is connected to the web. There's nothing between. There's no phone. There's no piece of plastic and copper and $1,200 gizmo that they built with slave labor in China that we need.
Right.
We're just going to all be connected. We're going to be one. Just one. We won't even need the FM towers.
Could anything possibly
go?
Could anything possibly go wrong?
No, I mean, what could everything? I mean, this has got to be one big, huge leap towards the end of mankind, but it's one I'm willing to make. I feel like the end's taking too long.
I'm fascinated by the fact that a bunch of tech billionaires are sitting around literally saying, how do we go ahead and just can we cut out this middle chapter and just get to the end of the book? Can we just end this right now? Tony, again, you're deep in thought. I worry. The look of consternation, it's very upsetting to me.
I'm just thinking all the applications that can arise from that ability and in that power.
Yeah.
Are any of them positive for the human race?
Well, I'm thinking for entertainment purposes.
Okay. Well, all right. So, okay. I tell you what then. If there needs to be a gatekeeper. I'll volunteer myself. Tony, you can. Okay, we'll let you have Neuralink.
I'm cool with that.
You'll put it to good use for the enjoyment of our mornings.
Tony's an alien. You're gonna let an alien have control of that?
Sure, why not? I mean, aren't we all aliens in our own way? Somehow, I don't even know what that means. But yeah, Tony Lee. That's my vote for one. He's the only person I've met on planet Earth that I'd feel comfortable with. And I've not met Elon Musk, so he's the only person that I'm aware of, if you are a person, that I would trust with the Neuralink. Of course, he is the biggest prankster on the planet. Don't turn me into a nice guy, and don't make me crap my pants in public.
No, I'd make you do a backflip right now.
Okay.
Wow.
I've got bad knees.
Crazy.
Don't forget about that.
Elon, in another tweet or another, what do you call, if it's not a tweet anymore, what is it? What do you do? And it's not an X. Anyway, he shared a thought on what used to be called Twitter. He said, this enables control of your phone or computer and through them almost any device just by thinking. Initial users will be those who have lost the use of their limbs. Okay, all for it.
Yeah.
Then he writes, imagine if Stephen Hawking could communicate faster than a speed typist or auctioneer. That is the goal. Imagine if Stephen Hawking could communicate faster than an auctioneer. Okay, well, first of all, nobody understands what the hell an auctioneer is saying to begin with. Secondly, okay, that's great. That's Stephen Hawking. But I feel like a douchebag for saying it. There are plenty of people who don't have use of their limbs who are just awful. We don't need to hear what they have to think. You know, they're going to use it for evil. They're going to try to get back at the world. So let's just I just feel like we got to pump the brakes a little bit on this. Again, like anything, it's great if it really does help people, but immediately anytime there's a new advancement like this, so you know for everybody who goes, you know what, I can really make a positive difference with this, there's 9 people going, I've got you now, Mr. Bond.
Right.
You know, they're going to stand there in front of a Shark Tank explaining why they're a genius before you zap them with a laser pen or something.
Bo Burnham has a special called Inside, and there's just one little, there's the internet. He does a song called The Internet. And it's just how the internet's going to start off. It's this beautiful, wonderful experience, a sharing of ideas across continents, right? It's what an enlightening experience. And look what we've turned that into. So imagine now we're inside the heads and we're all connected. And yeah, this is, I mean, it honestly sounds horrifying, but I couldn't be more curious about it. I hope one of you get one. I want to see what happens.
I have to go back to something you said. You just ran right past this because I heard about this. I heard Neuralink was in trouble for some experiments they were doing on monkeys. But you said it was specifically, what was this? They were implanting the chip in monkeys' brains, but then they were using an improper sealant for the
to plug up the holes.
To plug up the holes.
The Agriculture Department, this falls under our Agricultural Department, said last year after an investigation, it didn't find any violations of animal research rules other than this unapproved sealant to close holes drilled into monkeys' skulls.
Can't you just put a funny hat on the monkey?
Yeah, right. They were using some bathroom caulking, I believe, and I don't know what that was all about. I don't know. I never dug deep into that, but I try to follow this techie stuff, and I mean, it's always comes in the veil of its a leap forward, an advancement, right? But this one in the brain, obviously, So and this is how they get it in. This is why the vaccines This is why they manufactured the pandemic and started the vaccine program so that they could put the Neuralink into the.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting. It will be interesting to see
people are going to freak. I think that's what I like most about it. We're talking about me wanting to get a rise out of people. That's my sense of humor, unfortunately. Yeah. That's how I'm wired. And just the idea of this Neuralink just makes everyone fidget so much, as it should, that I think.
The folks who think that 5G is implanting chips into your brain are going to have a field day with this one, because a lot of them are going to be like, well, no, if Elon says it's cool, that's fine.
Well, you're right. Then maybe Elon will get them all to line up and he'll create a little army of, oh boy,
little Elons, like you said, little Coke freaks with a weird accent. Most of the Coke freaks I've ever met had weird accents, usually because they couldn't keep their jaws from shaking so much I couldn't understand a damn word they were saying. Here's one of those stories that really doesn't have any gray area whatsoever. A Goodwill store in Ashland, Wisconsin. A lot of people donating, a lot of people coming by and said, I got an extra box of crap. Here you go. I dropped off a bunch of crap over the holidays myself. You find a box of crap and you think, I know who needs this, Goodwill. And you take your crap and you go to Goodwill and you don't even give it any real linear thought. Like, no one's going to want this, but maybe they will. And you take your box of crap. Well, someone dropped off a box of crap in Ashland, Wisconsin, and the staff is going through it, and somebody went, let's look at this. That's not a toy. No, that. Oh, it's an actual live hand grenade. A hand grenade. Now, it's not not something like you would find today. This is a Japanese Type 99 hand grenade from World War II.
Eek. And
it is still a live hand grenade. It did have a pin. As soon as it was discovered, the guy put it outside between the dumpsters, called the police. They were immediately evacuated the store. I mean, can you imagine if that thing had gone off? First of all, I guess it would speak wonders for the engineers of Japanese hand grenades from 75 years ago.
Right.
But secondly, what a crazy ass thing. And I'm curious if they got some cameras, if you can trace who dropped that box off.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah. I don't know if they tracked that stuff or not. Someone just dumped Grandpa's old war chest into a cardboard box and hauled it down. I would think, unless they were
usually
knowing just having a very remedial knowledge of munitions, especially military munitions, but nothing back to World War II, certainly. Probably inert at this point. I mean, explosives just don't age well. They get really volatile for a while, and then they just become inert over a period of time.
That's kind of like us.
Especially the fusing mechanism, right, exactly. So, but still, it reminds me of my grandpa who had a box of dynamite in the attic. They're like, what are these? He's like, oh, yeah, that's right, I forgot. You used to be able to go out and purchase dynamite. He would purchase dynamite because there was some dunes of dirt. Just little hills, mounds out in the field.
Right.
And back apparently in the 1940s, if you wanted to go down to the hardware store, you could pick up some dynamite and go out and blow up dirt instead of, I don't know, plowing it or moving it with machinery.
It's hard to explain to the younger generations just how incredible it is that we're all still here.
No kidding.
You're talking about you could go purchase dynamite not that long ago, and then there's always that moment in time when everybody, like, you're reading some anecdotal thing in an article and they just sideswipe it with, and of course Coca-Cola originally contained cocaine, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And cough syrup was morphine. You're like, wait, what? Man.
We read something one morning. I don't even know if we got to it on the air. I know we're sending it around to each other. We did so much information. It doesn't all end up on the radio. But it was, a cough syrup that you could buy in 1880, whatever, out of the Sears catalog that had laudanum in it, morphine, cocaine.
Everything. Yeah.
It was like, there's some cough syrup for you.
There was a cough syrup that we had as a kid. I think I mentioned this once, and you guys weren't familiar with it. It was called, the name of this product was Silence is Golden. and let me tell you something, it worked. It was just straight up, this is here to knock children out. Yeah. And I had a couple swigs of that as a child, and it would be like, okay, Mom, and you'd have one spoonful, and then, like, before you could make it to your bedroom, the room would be spinning. I was like, holy crap, I gotta lay down.
That was parenting back in the day.
Hell yeah, it was. Hey, spring is almost sprung on all around us. I mean, it's right around the corner. That means it's golf season. That means it's stretching the back season. And the Tee It Up Golf Card number 2 is on sale now, but not for long. It's about to sell out. You can golf 6 area courses, and while you do it, you'll be saving 175 smackaroos. Get yours at 92kqrs.com. Search the keyword golf. Get your Tee It Up Golf Card right now.
Selling like hotcakes. Right now on the KQ92 talk and text line, punch it in, 651-989-ROCK. We'll take those callers 9 and 2 to play Who Rocks for a chance to win tickets to 92 KQRS Presents Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper. Sunday, August 25th at the Xcel Energy Center. Prize provided by Live Nation. Tickets going on sale Friday, 10 a.m. Our runner-up today gets Australian Bee Gees with the 70s Magic Sunshine Band. Another great pairing. That's happening Saturday, February 3rd at the Medina. Thank you to the Medina Entertainment Center. 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck. And hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, January 30th. The Rolling Stones, Give Me Shelter. That is the definition of badassery right there. That's some good old late 60s rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. There is going to be no shortage of rock and roll in the Twin Cities this year, as like any year. Everybody that's worth going to see comes through. A lot of great gigs on the docket. A bunch of festivals this summer, some new, some old. A lot of music. And on this list, we also can include now, as it was announced yesterday, Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper together at the XL Energy Center Sunday, August 25th. Oh, that'll rock, won't it?
Twill.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be
I
pretty.
mean, that should be a terrifying stage show between the two
I would
of
imagine.
them, right?
Fun fact and an embarrassing announcement. I've never seen Alice Cooper.
What?
Oh, really?
I've never seen Alice Cooper, and it's high time I did.
Yeah.
High time I get out to see the man. Also never seen Rob Zombie, but that's not nearly as pressing a concern of mine.
Yeah.
But Alice, man.
Probably lure him out for a round of golf while he's in town.
I played the VH1 Fairway to Heaven golf tournament in 1996, I think. And he was, of course, a part of that. And I got to Vegas the night before the event. We had and everybody stayed at the Hard Rock Casino out there. And it was kind of a cool thing, you know, a bunch of guys in bands, a bunch of dudes, a bunch of gals, all kind of like to play golf. And the night before, there was a big dinner, and we were all hanging out. I met Bill Murray. So I was like, oh, man, Bill Murray, that's awesome. Met Dr. J for the second time. I'm like, man, oh, my God. So I'm having a good time. And then I hit the blackjack tables. And then all of a sudden, I realized, oh, it's time to go to the golf course. Just pulled an all-nighter in the casino. So it's like 5:30, and we're literally leaving at 6 a.m. for the course. And so I run upstairs, take a quick shower, walk down, get into, you know, like the bus where everybody gets on these coaches to go to this golf course. I fall asleep, or really more accurately, I pass out on the way to the course and then have to be awakened. So I have like a 40-minute pass out drunk nap, and then it's like, get ready to be on TV and golf. And I am like spinning. And luckily they had a keg at the first tee. And I needed it because, you know, you got the hair of the dog and whatnot. Sure. And I got up there and I hit my first shot, and it literally just skanked a drive. It was awful. And then I walked right over and I said, just give me a beer, man. I got to have. And I drank it. And as I was walking down the first fairway, just threw up all over the place. Just right there. Bam. Just barely broke stride. And then and I was not playing in a foursome with Alice, but he was in the foursome in front of us. And at some point, we all kind of met up at at a tee box. And he kind of looked over at me and he goes, you're having one of those days, aren't you? I said, I'm still having one of those nights from last night. He goes, I've been there, man. Not been a while. And he just gave me the old, I'm sober now, but I remember what that was like, and you're going to regret this one day.
You know what I like is that, someone had to hit into that. Someone probably hit right into your puddle of barf and had to hit out of that.
Right there. Absolutely miserable. And I feel like, hey, man, was it fun? And the truth is, I don't even remember like the back nine. I was just on fumes. Just like, oh, please, God, end this. Why did I think this would be a good idea?
I think that might be the one round where you shot out of your mind.
No,
shot like a 70-something.
There was a guy, every group, every foursome, it was like 3 musicians and 1 professional golfer. Or there were actors, too, like 3 celebs. And there was a guy on the PGA Tour. My golfer's name was Ted Triba. And I had never heard of him. He was about 6 feet 5 inches tall, and he had a good run in the PGA in the 90s. And I've never seen a man hit a golf ball like that in person at that time. He hit the first drive. I mean, he was hitting over 300 every time, and he was just looking at me like, get this guy away from me. I mean, he did not want to hang out or be cool at all. I was like the antithesis of everything he thought golf should be. Just all wrapped up in one package. Listen, you think you're miserable. Imagine being me. It was a long day. But anyway, back to this summer. Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie at the XL Energy Center, and we've got tickets to give away. We got 2 listeners on hold right now, ready to compete. Tony, what will the genre of competition be today?
Well, we have a super groovy rockin' prize, so this is apropos, of course. Who Rocks music industry themed fascinating and or useless trivia for you to take guesses at. And today we're featuring our prize boys, Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Candace, who is contestant number 1?
Okay, Miles from Stillwater.
Miles, good morning. Miles.
Yeah, good morning.
Good to have you on the show, brother. You ready to play Who Rocks?
I'll play. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Tony, take it away.
Reminds me of that line in Risky Business. He just says, "You like excitement, Miles?"
Yeah, that's exactly
Love
right.
it.
Princeton could use a man like Joel.
Right. Miles, here's your first one, my man. Alice Cooper, off stage, is A, an amateur sponge diver, B, an avid golfer, C, a crafter of custom canoes.
I believe he's an avid golfer.
He is.
Certainly
You
is.
might call him a golf addict. He calls himself one.
Yeah. Very good start. Number 2, Alice Cooper owned a restaurant in Phoenix, Arizona called A, Cooperstown, B, Waffle Bat, C, Blood Bites.
I'm going to go with C.
Blood Bites? I know that sounds really cool, doesn't it? But nope, it's
Yeah, it does. I hate
Cooperstown.
there.
was the place.
Damn.
Cooperstown.
It's like something Rob Zombie would snack on.
I know. Number 3, Rob Zombie once directed a commercial for A, Tombstone Pizza, B, Head & Shoulders shampoo, or C, laundry detergent Woolite.
I'll go with A because I'm clueless on that. I'm just going to go with A.
That would be, you'd think that's what would happen. No, he did a commercial for Woolite. There's a little horror touch on that.
I bet there's a time in my life, I'm not making this up, where you could have, in the space of a 2 or 3 day window in the 80s, I would have used all of those products. There would have been Head & Shoulders, Woolite, and a Tombstone Pizza in my life at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to rock the Head & Shoulders. I'm not afraid to admit it.
It's all right.
Woolite is more embarrassing.
Hey, man, listen, when's the last time you smelled Woolite? That's
Hey,
fresh.
I just had a hand wash. Anyway, no one cares
Steve
about my
protects his
laundry.
sweaters. He's a sweater protector. For cripe's sake.
These are hard questions.
Yes. Miles, you only have one more.
Okay, all right. Give it to me.
Rob Zombie designed his own comic book. It was titled A, Silly Squirrel on Sabbatical, B, The Haunted World of El Super Beasto, or C, Jerry Klunkmeyer, Male Prostitute.
I'm going to go B. I'm going to go with B on that one, I think.
Now you're talking.
Yes, you did very
right.
well. All right.
Wait a minute. I just Googled Jerry Klunkmeyer. There is no male prostitute named Jerry Klunkmeyer.
Well, he's a hobbyist male prostitute.
Miles, you went 2 for 4, brother. That's oftentimes around these parts more than enough.
I'd be making $8 million a game. That wouldn't be bad. So, yeah.
What?
It's hard to argue that.
All right, Miles, sit tight. We're gonna see what contestant number 2 has to offer. Candace, who is contestant number 2?
Wendy from Delano.
Wendy, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you an Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie fan?
Alice Cooper, definitely, and my son would kill to go see Rob Zombie.
That's
Is
a
he
well
like
then.
napping next to you, or
Right. Are you being sexy or quiet?
Pardon?
Wendy, we love your voice.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Wendy, you with us? We're complimenting your voice. It sounds very measured and quiet and kind of sexy at the same time.
Well, let me know when you have a job opening, will you?
Okay. Wow, right there. I like that. All right, we'll keep you in mind, Wendy. But right now, it's time to play the game. Tony, take it away.
Wendy. Number 1, Alice Cooper wears a silver bracelet that A, has the engraving, "It is what it is." B, was originally owned by a Mayan warrior. Or C, can only be removed with a key solely possessed by his wife, Cheryl.
C.
That's right.
Correct. Man.
Only she's
All
got
right.
the only key.
Oh, that's sweet.
Number 2, Alice Cooper's stage name came from A, Alice the housekeeper on the Brady Bunch, B, a character on the TV show Mayberry RFD, or C, his neighbor who used to make him chicken pot pie.
C, the chicken pot pie.
Nope. Believe it or not, he said that it came from a character on the TV show Mayberry RFD. It sounds wholesome in contrast to his act.
I wanted that chicken pot pie to be the answer as well.
I know.
Who
doesn't want chicken
really,
pot pie?
I just want chicken pot pie.
Can you imagine Vincent watching Mayberry RFD?
Yes.
Wow.
Who started that? Was that Ken Berry?
Ken Berry.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Number 3, Alice Cooper is A, Megadeth frontman Dave Mustaine's godfather, B, actor Ryan Reynolds' karate instructor, or C, Queen Latifah's yoga partner?
Well, while I can picture him doing yoga, I'm going to guess A.
Yes.
Very nice. Yes.
Wow.
The godfather.
He's whose godfather?
Dave Mustaine, Megadeth.
I've never known that until today.
I know. Fun fact.
Go figure.
All right, your last one, dear.
Wendy, this is for the win. You got 2 for 3. If you get this one, then the tickets are yours.
I'm really nervous.
Don't be. Just take a breath.
You sound as cool as a cucumber.
Right. All right, here it comes. Rob Zombie's first job was A, a file clerk at H&R Block, B, a sandwich artist at Subway, or C, a gopher production assistant for the TV show Pee-wee's Playhouse.
B.
Sorry, Wendy. He was actually a gopher for the TV show Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, you go back and watch that, it makes sense. There's some dark stuff in there that we were laughing along
So
with.
surreal.
Man, that is pretty wild. Okay, so, Wendy, you went 2 for 4, as did Miles, which means we have to have a tiebreaker. Tony is going to ask a question. Miles will answer first, and then we will get Wendy's answer, and then we will determine who wins the game.
That's correct, Steve. Here's your question. Walmart employs how many people in the United States?
Miles?
Okay, Miles had to go into the VA hospital, so I'm taking over.
Okay.
I am now Miles.
All right.
All right,
He's okay.
Wow, what a professional delivery of that disclaimer. What's your answer, faux Miles?
Was it how many employees in the whole United States?
Walmart employs how many people in the United States? Yes.
Let's see. In the United States, 2 million.
All right.
2 million. Okay, Wendy, what do you think? How many?
2,000,001.
Wow, look at her.
Come on. This isn't The Price is Right.
Oh, wow.
Kinda
Easy, Miles,
Worth
to
more than
number
that,
2.
Yeah. It is, yeah. Where's
Take
the nice
it easy.
guy? Where'd he
Take
go?
it easy. All right, let's go. What do we got, Tony?
The correct answer is 1.4 million.
I'm
Oh,
closer.
What?
Miles.
Miles and
Joy
Miles
Alice
for the
Cooper
win.
Miles.
I can see for Miles and Miles. Congratulations,
I can see
Miles
for-
and faux Miles. You have tickets to see Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper. Wendy, all is not lost. You have runner-up prize, and it's not a bad one at all. That's Australian Bee Gees with the 70s Magic Sunshine Band this Saturday, February the 3rd at the Medina. Congrats, and thanks for playing.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
Man, so close. So what's that song? So close and yet so far. My eyes adored you. Who was that? My eyes adored you.
Oh,
I never met a man.
Is that the guy from the? Is that like Frankie Valli? It's one of those old Frankie
Yeah,
Valli.
sounds like a Frankie
Yeah.
Valli thing, doesn't it? Yeah.
Like a million miles away from me, I couldn't see her. Yeah, wow. The things that come to mind after a hot game of Who Rocks.
it was Frankie Valli.
It was Frankie Valli.
It was.
I like Miles as proxy, just stepping in like that. Very very calm,
Yeah.
authoritative, but
Right.
2 great voices on the show today.
I know.
Miles Proxy and Wendy both just really sounded great on the air. Thanks for playing, ladies, and Miles.
And what a great name, Miles Proxy. I mean, if he's looking for a radio or a stage name. There's a discussion online where managers are sharing the dumbest things one of their employees did to get fired. We're going to whet your appetite here. I had to fire a new dishwasher after she was caught on camera throwing silverware and plates into the dumpster instead of wash. Wouldn't it just be easier to throw them into the dishwasher than walk them? Yeah, all right. Well, we've got a whole bunch of these we're going to dig into here at 8:30. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Journeys Don't Stop Believing. It's amazing. You can hear a song a million times, and then you hear it one time in a different context, and it changes it forever. I always think that song is just going to stop on a dime the way it did at the end of The Sopranos. I literally, it starts to fade, and I'm like, what's going on? Why doesn't it just go to black? Boom. And it doesn't. That song was inspired by Jonathan Cain, the keyboardist and songwriter for a lot of those big Journey hits. Jonathan Cain was having a bad day. Career wasn't going the way he wanted, and he called home. He was in L.A., called his dad in Chicago, and they were talking. His dad gave him a pep talk, and he said, "Hey, bud, don't stop believing."
Nice.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
That's where it came from. And he's like, hey, there's something there. And, of course, we could all sit there and think, well, what song would I write about something my dad told me? It wouldn't be Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah. Shut your hole.
You're going to have a foot up your ass if you don't clean this room. Hang on. Condense that. Make it something different. Okay, hang on. Find a chair and use it, you idiot. No. How about Don't Stop Believing? Sounds good. Thanks, Dad. Yeah. Wow. That, you know, hey, man, it's I like that story. I really do. It's sweet. Yeah. It's good. Let's see. Oh, Zep, you mentioned before the break. Great. We've all been fired, correct? Has anybody on this show not been fired from a job? Candace, be honest.
I haven't, but this,
Seriously?
don't stop believing.
You're due.
Hope springs eternal. I've been let go of a lot of jobs. I mean, and most of them involved pizza. I worked at a lot of pizza joints and was removed from all of them. My favorite being fired job was at a Mr. Gaddy's, and it was a conveyor belt pizza situation. It wasn't like hand tossed dough. It was frozen dough, one ladle of sauce, a handful of stuff, and you put it on a conveyor belt. And I'm making pizza, but I got fired for whistling in the kitchen. Health violation.
What?
Yeah.
How weird.
Yeah, I was whistling.
Spit, yeah.
Well, yeah, you're spitting and breathing all over the food, apparently. It's in a 38,000-degree oven. I don't think any germs of mine were surviving the ride on that little conveyor belt. But, yeah, and the guy that fired me, I was like 20, and he was like 18, and he was already the manager. So he gave me grief about I didn't have pride in my work. And I go, it's a Mr. Gaddy's.
Yeah.
Pride? What are you talking about? And he was already upset with me for that. And then I would whistle like sarcastically, like a jerk would whistle in a as I'm, and it's just, to me, I'm amusing myself by whistling to just get over how mind-numbingly bored I was at this job. Anyway, he said, hey, that's a health violation. And I kept whistling, and he said at one point when it all came to a crescendo, he said, if you whistle one more time, you're fired. And my response was to go, like, yeah. And I whistled, oh my God. And right then he said, that's it, you're gone. And I said, you're literally firing me? He goes, yes, leave. I said, okay, fine, but I have to finish this order. And I made a deep dish with everything, put it in the oven, and as far as he knew, I had just received the order for one last pizza, sliced it in the box, and walked out the back door with it. I was like, I'm taking my severance in the form of a large with everything.
Walking out with style.
Hell yeah, I was.
Yeah. You had to. That was such a setup. You had to whistle.
Of course. Oh, I could. Oh, it was scripted. It was so perfect.
If you had not, you'd still be there making those pizzas.
That's exactly. Well, that's what I was worried about, Zeph. I was such a natural. I didn't want to get locked in.
I have a buddy that texted me here during the break. Dwight said he fired an employee once, and the employee asked if he could get 2 weeks. That's not how that works. Yeah. You're fired. Can I get 2 weeks? No,
that's not it at all. There's a great list of reasons people were fired. I like this one. They cleaned the break room microwave with the same toilet brush they'd just been using to clean 4 bathrooms.
Oh.
You see a guy doing that? Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, man.
Yowza. I like this one. A 20-year-old guy called in sick and said he had a stroke.
20 years old.
20 years old. He lived across the street from the store, so we all watched him pack up his truck with beach gear and drive off with his girlfriend. It's just, great concept, the 20-year-old stroke, but you got to follow through with
when you don't care. Yeah. I worked at a liquor store here in Minneapolis, rather well-known liquor store on Lake Street, and we had a guy that they had a security camera above the storage door where all the liquor was stored in the back. And he had an idea that one night, I wasn't there, but he was going to steal a bunch of liquor out of there and went into the storage closet and shut off the security camera. Next morning, I come in, the manager invites me, and he goes, come on in, you got to see this. Hey, look, it's so-and-so stealing the stuff. I said, oh, well, yeah, wow, right there on the security camera. You think he'd know that we have a security camera. He goes, here's the thing. He goes, I haven't turned that security camera on in years. He goes, I don't know the last time it was on. I haven't even thought about it. He didn't turn it off. He turned it on before he stole. He goes, yeah, that thing's just been off forever. I never even thought about it.
That's great.
Thought about it. No one's ever stolen any booze, but the guy went in and turned it on. And then still, that was nice to touch.
You mentioned this one about the dishwasher. Instead of putting things in the dishwasher, they were just throwing silverware and plates into the dumpster.
Well, maybe they were washing by hand. I gave it some thought, but still, yeah, right.
It's pretty great. I worked at my family had a family restaurant, which is just such a joke. It was like 6 months of hell, a misguided attempt to have a family business. Do you know how to run a restaurant, Dad? It's business. It's all the same. No, not really, apparently. There's a little more to it than that. But I was the dishwasher, and the dishwasher at this restaurant was there was a dishwashing machine that was like restaurant grade. It was like 9 million degrees. It took 60 seconds to do a whole cycle. You'd open it up, and the steam coming off, you'd have to wait 5 minutes to touch the plates because they'd be so hot. It was like a serious thing. And but occasionally I would pull a plate through and it wouldn't have gotten all the stain off. Like there was just something that wouldn't go. And so, it's me and my two brothers in the kitchen. And so, it was not a Greek restaurant, but we were breaking some plates in there. Let me tell you. He just, can't get this. It looks like a little
smash.
Little au jus just won't come off the plate.
Easier to break it than apply a little elbow grease. Here's one for you. One of the lifeguards was really hungover, so he took a crap in the pool so we didn't have to open up for the day. I guess the lifeguard wasn't in charge of cleaning the pool.
I guess not. Wow. Yes.
Desperate.
You're hungover, I'm just going to drop a deuce.
But aren't you creating more work than... would you rather be responsible for cleaning that pool, or would you rather just sit in a chair and swivel the whistle on the rope around your fingers all day and look cool with white zinc on your nose?
Right, what a good job to be hungover with, right?
Perfect.
And then, hopefully someone is in a little distress and you have to jump in the cold water. Hangover gone. Come on, man.
I like this one. My old company hired an agent to be a bilingual customer service rep, English and French. This was up in Canada. He said he spoke French well. They needed new agents quickly, so they didn't even test him. Second day of training, they start going over French resources, and they have him listen in on calls. It's obvious immediately he has no idea what's going on. They gave him a French test and then he had to admit, no, I don't speak French at all.
What? How many days do you think you're going to get away with that one?
That's fantastic.
Maybe I can get one paycheck out of this before they realize I have a killer French accent, though.
Every time someone spoke French to him, he would just look up and go, sacre bleu. Passed it for a day or two. Let's see. Here's another one. I caught him doing coke in the break room at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. It doesn't really matter what time of day it is or what day of the week it is, I think.
Yeah, for coke.
Spiking up on the job is generally a red flag.
Yeah, right. We had a morning show guy that he was a real cokehead, and I took a bus to a concert with a bunch of listeners, of course, and he ended up punching somebody in the mush, got all coked up and beat up one of the listeners. That's how I got that morning show job.
Wow.
It's like, Zep, you're on in the morning. I'm like, sweet. Here's one.
Ouch.
My assistant manager's register was exactly $7.64 short every shift. Turns out that's how much he was spending at Taco Bell for lunch. He just pulled out the $7.64. When we accused him of stealing, he thought we meant all the merchandise he'd been stealing. Oop.
Wow.
Yeah.
$7.64. I can imagine eating Taco Bell for lunch every day. I can't imagine getting the same thing at Taco Bell every day.
Yeah, right. I mean, just kind of a regular thing. I was working for South Dakota Parks and Rec, and I was mowing and emptying garbage at parks in Aberdeen, South Dakota, for the summer. Yeah, partying pretty hard, having a good time, not really into the job. And I had used every sick excuse. In fact, you mentioned one time talking about injuring your leg and then realizing, oh, crap, now I've got to show up with a somewhat injured leg. I had called in so many times that I couldn't even use that excuse. I had been through all the medical excuses. So I went with being kind of the hellraiser I was back in the day, something believable that I had been arrested the night before. And that I wasn't able to get out of jail. I wasn't able to bounce out until after court in the morning. Sorry I couldn't make it. How was I to know that the frickin' foreman's brother was a sheriff? And he called up to help me out, but he's like, yeah, we don't have any Brians up here. So I did show up to work at like noon. How'd court go? I'm like, it wasn't that big of a deal, really. And then, he fired me.
One thing leads to another.
Whoops.
Speaking of South Dakota, I just came across this little factoid earlier, and I'm glad I just remembered it. Apparently, I read this, and you can tell me if it's true. In the continental, the point in North America that is the furthest from any ocean is a spot in southwest South Dakota.
Sounds about right.
It's 1,024 miles from the nearest coastline. And I read that and I thought, but it seems like there would be something more than 1,024 miles. But then I looked at the map and I was kind of like, yeah, I guess that kind of checks out. Have you ever heard that there's a spot in South Dakota that's the furthest point from any ocean?
No, but I'll be group texting my family today and blowing their minds.
Yeah, try to figure that one out. Get back to me, would you?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's a fun little fact.
Maybe that's why. I mean, maybe Mount Rushmore. The whole thinking was, well, it'll never flood.
Although Rapid City, we had the big flood of 72, there was a dam out there broke, or they've since put in a dam. But yeah, you're right. You're pretty landlocked there in South Dakota.
All right, one last bit of trivia that means nothing and no one even needs to know about the Midwest, if you will. Detroit, Michigan has made 7 bids for the Olympics. They're 0 for 7. The last one was 1972. They finally gave up. But Detroit has gone 0 for 7. By the way, London, England, 4 for 4. They've made 4 bids and got all 4. So maybe the Motor City needs to take a tip from the folks over in London here.
I mean, there's a lot of great American cities that probably haven't even applied once. They're sitting it out. But Detroit is just like, if we get this, I feel like we turn the corner. We're back, baby.
It's going to bring it all around.
Go just like the Lions, keep plugging away one of these years, except for the Lions.
Come on. Yeah, of course.
I don't know.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, January the 30th. Good morning. First things first, my friends in the Twin Cities and extended area. If you got Las Vegas on the brain, if you're thinking about going to Vegas, you might want to listen up, and I'll tell you why. There's a new spot, the newest luxury resort and casino on the Strip in Las Vegas, the Fontainebleau. And we want to send you there because they're having a big game weekend celebration. One winner is going to score a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. That includes airfare, a 2-night stay at the Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, $150 credit to spend at one of its 36 restaurants and bars, and 2 tickets to the Fontainebleau, Las Vegas big game viewing party at Blue Live Theater. Text the national keyword TRIP, T-R-I-P, to 95819 right now. Text TRIP to 95819 now to enter for your chance to win. Good luck. Update on a story we talked about, I believe, week before last. Remember the ruby red slippers, the Judy Garland red slippers that were stolen from the Judy Garland Museum.
Sure, the big
up
heist.
in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, many, many years ago. 2005, they were stolen. 2018, they were recovered. And now in the final chapter of this extraordinary caper, the man who took those slippers, Terry John Martin. Now remember, he was a former mobster who was enticed by pulling off what he called one last score. He came forward, confessed, gave all the information. He was in front of a judge yesterday, and the judge decided to give him 0 jail time. He is very ill. He's not going to be with us very long. They basically said, just go home and thanks for telling us what happened. Yeah, basically that's it.
I mean, this was in fact, I think he's in hospice or something like that.
Yeah, he's close.
He was close to death. I mean, his life was expiring when he decided to pull this one last caper, and the guy is, he's almost sort of a tragic comic character, He actually thought that they were encrusted with real rubies, and that's why he stole them. Only to find out that, they were, it's just the movie memorabilia. Very valuable.
They were insured for $1 million, and that's because of the sentimental value and the fact that they featured so prominently in one of the biggest films of all time. But the ruby red slippers, this guy was told they were adorned with real jewels, and that's why they were worth $1 million. And when asked, well, wait, you didn't understand that the ruby red slippers from The Wizard of Oz? And he said, I never saw the movie.
It's a prop. Yeah,
I missed it.
He's of that age, too. He would have been like, right there in that demographic when the movie was released. But, this guy was out living the mob life. They weren't watching Wizard of Oz, for crying out loud.
I don't remember any Wizard of Oz references in The Sopranos. I mean, there's plenty of Godfather and even Goodfellas. But, they weren't talking about Dorothy.
Although, again, they were on loan from a private collector in Los Angeles. I wonder how the private collector felt when he realized the shoes were stolen from the little small Wizard of Oz museum up there in northern Minnesota, when someone climbed in through an open window and just took them out of the display case. It's like, you couldn't have thrown a lock on the frickin' window up there in Minnesota?
I'll tell you something about that line. He's got no courage. You don't want him on your crew. Now I'm going to want to see the Sopranos crew talking about the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Wicked Witch, she's got she's got something going for her.
It sounds like an SNL skit, doesn't it? Wizard of Oz, but, through a mob lens.
The lens of The Sopranos?
Yeah.
Sure. The Wizard of Oz came out in 1939. It's still... It's one of the most iconic films of all time. Just a heads up to my 3 good friends here. I can't wait till we're all long gone, dead and buried, so that my estate can sue y'all's estates.
Oh.
That's right. There's going to be post-mortem estates suing each other. Well, I mean that's kind of how it goes when you're involved in something as special as this show, or if you were a member of the Jimi Hendrix Experience anyway, because now a London judge has ruled that the estates of Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell can go forward with their lawsuit against the Hendrix estate.
Oh, man.
Over the rights to the 3 Experience albums. Jimi Hendrix and the Experience suing each other from the grave. Noel Redding, bassist, Mitch Mitchell, drummer, their estates are suing the Jimi Hendrix estate. Sony, which controls the Hendrix catalog, has argued for dismissal, and they're claiming that Redding and Mitchell both signed away their rights in the early 70s. But the judge disagreed. He said, my overall conclusion is that the claims in respect of copyright and performers' property rights survive and should go to trial. I guarantee you the 2 guys in the Jimi Hendrix Experience did not sign away their rights. I can't imagine they did that. If they did, there would have had to have been a pretty big cash payout at the time. But anyway, attorneys for the Redding and Mitchell estate say they are hopeful they can obtain some justice. No one is denying Hendrix was the greatest guitarist ever, but he did not make those recordings alone. They could not have achieved any success without contributions of Noel and Mitch. We're talking about 3. The Jimi Hendrix Experience, 3 albums. Are You Experienced, Axis Bold in Love, and Electric Ladyland. After that, Hendrix was off on his own. But anyway, rock and roll's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, hey, listen, I'm not picking a dog in this fight at all. I'm just trying to project myself into our future estate lawsuits,
right?
And our children or our grandchildren, however long it takes.
Sure.
I'm just me personally. I'd be like, you know what? It's not going to who it should go to. Noel and Joel. Who is it again? Redding and
Noel and Mitch.
Noel and Mitch. That's it. Right. So, I mean, this is really families of families, descendants duking it out here for a few bucks over what these 3 men put together. So that feels smarmy.
Yeah, there's a big Ramones lawsuit that's been going on for a while. It's Johnny Ramone's wife and Joey Ramone's brother are at odds over something to do with the Ramones catalog and it's like, I don't know.
If you're protecting the integrity of it, I guess, for the family legacy, but if you're just in it for the bucks, go out and make your own money,
Well, there's something to be said for one thing you see, and this happens repeatedly throughout rock history, is a band gets together, they record music, they do whatever their deal is. If they don't have a deal, if they don't have the sense to put one together, that can happen. But it's decades now, in this case, decades, or at very least years after the band has gone its separate ways. There will be a wife or a husband or a manager, somebody who showed up after the fact that has been now given de facto control of something. That's always where just as a fan of rock, you're like, oh, come on, man. Like, certain bands have got it figured out. I mean, and I'll just say this, this is not private information. Like John Bonham's widow, Pat Bonham, has a vote in all Led Zeppelin business, always has. Everything's 4 ways. He died, and she's a part of it. They never think about doing anything without her being involved. That's the way it should be.
Beatles had to do a big record deal with Yoko.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, she, that's the person, but they were there at the time. It's when a band breaks up and then years later, it's wife number 9 or husband number 7 or new manager, new attorney who comes in, and it's like, you weren't there for any of this. Why are you speaking about what you think happened? It's always it's just so gross. Probably best to leave everything behind closed doors, but then again, it's rock and roll, man. We all want to know the dirt. We want to see what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the experience, you talk about Jimi Hendrix, and people lean in. They want to know more.
That's a fact. Gene Hackman is one of my favorite actors. He's 94 years old today. Still kicking, still flying his plane, still painting his paintings. Happy birthday, Gene Hackman. The man who, on the set of the Superman movie, was asked by Christopher Reeve, he said, "What's your motivation for who Lex Luthor is?" And Gene Hackman responded, "You mean besides the $2 million?" That's my kind of actor right there. Yeah, I'm going to put on a great performance, but you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, De Niro's De Niro. You got to give it to the method actors. They have their own way of doing things. But I do kind of like those actors that just show up. And they talked about Laurence Olivier, the great Shakespearean actor.
Yeah,
the great, one of the greatest actors of all time, no doubt. And an actor. Well, I tell the story. He's on stage doing Othello. He goes, "Here I am, my first big Shakespeare play, Othello, and I'm doing it with the man Laurence Olivier playing Othello, of course, one of his great roles. And we're standing in the back, and someone else is there in the center stage doing their little scene, and he leans over to me and he says, 'Hey, do you know where there's a good place to get a beer in this town after play?'"
Of course.
He's doing. I mean, he's not. He's not Daniel Day-Lewis living Othello at home with the kids, making his wife call him Othello and everything.
And he had the great on the set of Marathon Man, Dustin Hoffman. Laurence Olivier, the one evil turn. Yeah. He's the guy in Marathon Man.
Oh yeah, so good in that.
Dustin Hoffman is like being tortured, and Olivier keeps saying, "Is it safe?"
It's so safe. It's the safest it's ever been. And, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
And he says to Dustin Hoffman, they're on the set, and Dustin Hoffman's explaining that he stayed up the whole night before. He wouldn't sleep because he had to be in the mindset of the guy who's sleep deprived and tortured and beaten. Mm-hmm. And he was explaining this to Olivier, and Olivier barely looks over his reading glasses and goes, "Well, have you simply tried acting, dear boy?"
Right. Read the lines.
Yeah, that's it.
It's pretty great.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of Hackman. Royal Tenenbaums and Hoosiers come to mind, as does Get Shorty. Just as great a performance in a comedy as you're going to see. That movie, I feel like people kind of sleeping on how funny Get Shorty is. I watched it last year again, and I was just blown away.
How about The Birdcage?
The Great in the Birdcage.
Very good in the Birdcage.
Yeah, it wasn't his main vehicle, right? But I mean, you're right. There wasn't. I mean, you don't ever think of Gene Hackman and like, oh man, he really just was miscast in that, and he just really didn't deliver, whether the movie was great or not.
No, he's awesome.
I mean, he's one of the great ones. Even he could play the heavy, in a movie like
Popeye Doyle.
Yeah, Popeye Doyle, but he could play a really bad guy. Bill, the Sheriff Bill.
Oh, Little Bill. Unforgiven.
Little Bill, thank you.
The Unforgiven. Incredible.
Yeah, just incredible. Some great stories from that set as well. Him and Clint Eastwood, and think of the old British actor that was in it as well.
Morgan Freeman.
No, the old British actor.
No, I'm saying, but he was in it as well.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, it's who's who, a Mount Rushmore there. But anyway, yeah, Gene Hackman, happy birthday. Wish he was still acting.
Real quick, going back to Get Shorty, a pre-Sopranos, what's his name? Gandolfini. Great job in Get Shorty as like a tough guy, like a bodyguard tough guy who John Travolta kicks his ass.
All right, knocks him down the stairs.
His nickname is Bear. He's got a ponytail. His name is Bear, the character. Yeah, but that's Gandolfini, shortly before The Sopranos. A lot of good stuff in that movie.
Dennis Farina.
Oh, the best. The same exact thing in every role he ever played. Same guy, right. But boy, he was.
You want to see him again.
Yeah, he was perfect in it. Michael Caine had one of my favorite lines as well. He said, "I'm a skilled professional actor. Whether or not I have any talent is beside the point." Which is true. Yeah. It's like, I know how to do what I'm supposed to do on camera. Speaking of actors and great movies or whatever, Quentin Tarantino has written a book. At long last, about his love of movies, a lot of personal stories about growing up and going to see movies as a kid, and then then each chapter is about a specific movie that means a lot to him. It's called Cinema Speculation, and it was recommended to me by somebody recently who I can't even remember who recommended it, but if you're listening, thanks, because I got it, and it's really, really, if you're a movie buff at all, if you like movies or like thinking about them, it is spectacular. And he does a whole chapter on the movie Bullitt and specifically Steve McQueen. A lot of really fascinating stuff. Like Steve McQueen, famously, he'd get a script and he would just like the lines, whatever script it was, his character, he'd be like, now have him say that. Have him say that. He would give lines away. He wanted to say as few words as possible because he was like, I know what my fans like. They just like seeing me. He was just like, he had this entire huge career built on just being Steve McQueen, essentially. Pretty fascinating stuff. Anyway, all that to say, let's look back as long as we're looking back. It is January the 30th. On this day, 24 years ago, in the year 2000, I went to the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia for Super Bowl 34. It was the Los Angeles. It was the St. Louis Rams and the Tennessee Titans. And there was a wild rush for scalpers trying to get tickets outside the game. And I'll tell you why. Because there was an ice storm in Atlanta the day before. Weird. And a whole lot of people drive. Now, think about this. The Super Bowl's in Atlanta. The two teams are from Nashville and St. Louis, which is a little road called I-24 connects those two. From there, you hit 75, you're in Atlanta. So you had most of the people, the fans of either team, were all driving. And the roads north of the city were impassable. And a whole lot of people didn't get to that game. Fun fact. Or they got there late. The ingress to that Super Bowl was an absolute nightmare. And a whole lot of people, this is before you could get on an app and just sell your tickets. It was a real mess. I still lived in Atlanta. I was moving like a couple weeks later, as it turned out. I had tickets in hand. It was easy. I just got on the train, went down, walked out, bing, bang, boom. And then I sat there bored to tears watching two teams I didn't care about play a game. But then in the final drive of the game, it was one of the most exhilarating sports events I've ever seen. The Tennessee Titans trying to score the game-tying touchdown in the final play of the game after an amazing drive, Steve McNair, like one of the most heroic performances imaginable. Final play of the game, wide receiver Kevin Dyson catches the ball, stretches, and he comes up about half a yard short. The whole stadium was standing in disbelief, screaming just for no reason. It was the loudest moment I've ever experienced in a sporting event. It was just one play, but everybody, whether you cared or not, whichever team you're cheering for, it was just so dramatic. It was like, oh my God, if they score, this is going to go to overtime. And everybody was just screaming, just, ah! And my ears were ringing for an hour. It was the weirdest thing. But that was pretty amazing. And it was 24 years ago, and that blows my mind because I'm clearly old and time is going way too fast.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.